Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to Cutfile Confidence, which is a class that MK and I are teaching. And it is going on starting in August through part of October. It is also Rainbow Crush. I'll tell you more about Cutfile Confidence in a moment. But Rainbow Crush is a series run by Tara over at the Paper Snob. And it is where we choose a color each month to focus on. And preferably 75% of our layouts is going to be that color. The color this month is Coral. And I really tried to stick with coral, but I think it kind of went a little bit peach, which is that maybe just a lighter shade of coral? I don't know. But yeah, the goal was to stick with coral. So I really did my best. Also today, the technique that we're kind of focusing on here is altering your cut files with ink. And I am actually going to alter my papers that I'm backing my cut files with ink rather than my cut file itself. You could just easily ink up the cut file as well to, change that color. But I really wanted to change the color of what I was putting behind it rather than the actual cut file itself, mostly because I really wanted to keep the cut file white because I'm using a white background and I'm going to do a little bit of white, a little bit of mixed media on that as well. So the colors that I'm using here for Distress ink is Tattered Rose, and then I'm also using some Coral Cabana from Catherine Pooler and trying to get that coral color, but I didn't go super heavy-handed with it, so it's still a little bit on the peachy side, but a little more towards coral. I did also spray it with a little Tattered Rose uh, Distress Spritz, which the mica in that is colored, but the actual liquid is not colored. So it's just giving it a shimmery shine. And then I've got some Catherine Pooler ink in yellow here, and I do not know what happened to that ink pad. It is called Whipped Honey, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's Whipped Honey. I don't know what happened to the center of it. It's almost like it dried out, but I think I've only used this ink pad once, so I'm not really sure why it's like that. I did also sprinkle this with a little bit of gold Heidi Swapp Color Shine, and then I'm going to use those papers, which are just 4.5 by 6.5 inch photo mats from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to use those to back my banner here and to make it kind of celebratory. The photos that I've got here are a pool party. It's an end of the year pool party, so they are definitely celebrating with a whole bunch of kids. And the middle of the 3 kids that I take care of is featured in the 2 left-hand photos with her little bestie. And I thought this worked well because they both have some pinky peach on their swimsuits, and so that's why I chose to do these. I also wanted to do something fun and festive, and these were the fun and festive photos that I had handy. What's more fun than an end of the year pool party? So that's what I'm going with, and then I'm using a 5/8 inch punch to punch circles to just back my light bulbs on my banner. I thought that was a great way to do that, make it really fast and easy. And then I'm just doing the direct gluing method here. So I'm gluing my cut file right to my paper and I'm cutting around it for the other banner pieces. I will say that punch just saved me a ton of time and a ton of work. Um, if you can use a punch to back a file with or something like that, you should definitely do it because it just takes all of the work right out of it. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way that came out. And then that top piece that has the stripes there, I went ahead and just followed the line of the banner. So I laid my banner down on the paper. You might have seen me do a pencil mark of where the banner kind of how it hung on the page. And I am just also using it to cut the bottom of my paper, the striped paper. The striped paper, though, I did not cut the height of it yet, so it is definitely taller than it needs to be. But I didn't want to mess around with that until I got my banner situated because I didn't want to inadvertently cut it too short or anything like that. I think it's going to be easier to get it situated, and then trim off the excess that's hanging over the top of the paper. I think that's going to work well for me. Um, Also, I did rough up the edges of that banner. Or not the banner, the striped paper, thinking I was going to have it overhang on the banner. But then I realized the the lower portion of the banner I would want it to have a very similar kind of feel and effect. And the way the banner is put together and it's got overlapping pieces, I didn't think that would go very well. So I am going to be trimming off the roughed up edge of the striped paper and just go with a flat edge and glue it the banner over the top of it. So I think that's going to work better um, when all is said and done for to keep it looking right with the second layer. Hopefully that makes sense because I'm going to use a different piece of paper for that second layer. Here I am auditioning the different papers and realizing that I'm really kind of in the peach more than the coral. So I picked up this other piece of paper which has coral in it, and then using the another hole punch, I am punching holes out of that shiny metallic paper to put at the top of my little light bulbs to give it kind of a metallic look, but also to keep in that peachy coral color scheme. And so I think that's going to work out okay. But I do feel like I need to get more coral on this page somehow and not just go with peach. Um, but like I said, arguably, I think peach is just a lighter version of coral. So maybe it all counts. I'm hoping that Tara is in agreement here, but it is what it is. So somehow I don't have as much coral in my stash as I thought I did, but yeah, I'm liking how it's coming together, and I'm just going to keep going with it, trying to keep um, as much of the coral there that I can on it. And then I knew my paper wasn't going to be wide enough, but because the two papers overlap at that last light bulb area, it's a great place to have a little merge of papers so that you can't really tell that it's pieced together at all. So I'm liking how that looks, and I think that's fun. And I'm just thinking about it, and that's when I think that, oh, I better cut this off because there's no way it's not going to look right having the second piece of paper tucked under and having that one on top. So I'm going to go ahead and start gluing, I think. Oh, no, I'm not gluing. I'm doing some mixed media. So I am using some Lindy's Magicals on this, and the color is um, Fuzzy Navel Peach. Again, not so much into the corals. I was hoping there were going to be some more of the bright pink blooms to kind of give it the coral effect, but it just didn't happen. So I'm going to get this going. I'm going to get it all down and dried. Yeah, just playing with it to try to get it mixed in. And then I'm going to end up adding some of that Coral Cabana ink to it. So yeah, it just didn't get to the level of coral that I was hoping it would. But at this point, I'm not gonna quit. I'm just gonna keep going. Use my heat tool to dry it. And I am on, I think I'm on some Vicky Bouton paper here, you guys. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure I am because the liquid doesn't move around like that on most other papers. So pretty sure I used a Vicky Bouton paper for this, but a Vicky Bouton foundation paper. So I do like that the colors all go well together, but here's where I decide it needs some more of that pinky color. So I stamped some Coral Cabana down on to my uh, glass mat and sprayed it with some water. And I am using this awesome, amazing splat tool from MK's shop. I love this thing. And if you had seen me use it the very first time, you would have heard me oohing and awing over it a whole lot more. But I've had it in my stash secretly for a little while now because we did use it at our Wyoming retreat for a class. But I love it. It doesn't It does have, like, you can get harsh lines out of it, but because they're not like square or perfectly circular or anything like that, you really get a really good splat technique out of it. It's great for doing like packaging technique and stuff like that because, again, you don't get those um, straight lines. And because they've got that splat look to them, it looks way more natural. And so I really love it and I think it's fantastic. Highly recommend it. I will put a link for it down below in case you're interested in it. And I'm hoping she still has them in the shop. I'm not sure if she does or not, but she just released them at the beginning of August. So hopefully you can go and pick one of those up if you're interested. So now I did find some coral in my stash here, and I am going to back these photos with it. You can see I rated my scrap bin in order to get some coral. And I like this. I think it's going to really help things pop a lot. And then I am going to ink up the edges of another piece of white paper. This is just a regular old piece of white paper, nothing special. In fact, I think it is actually a little thinner than what I would normally use. I don't know where it even came from, but I'm using it to do the edges of my paper because I did trim down my other paper so that my banner would go all the way across. It's just personal preference. And I'm liking how that looks. Uh, and I think that's giving it a little bit more depth of color and getting it a little bit closer to the coral. And then I am going to use my travel um, stitching set here from MK's shop. Also, I'm going to use my pokey tool and the mat from, I'm not using the mat from the travel set because it is smaller, and since I'm not traveling, I have my big one here. So that's actually from the stitching starter set, as well as the needle minder that you see me pulling things out of here. I actually have a couple of needle minders with different designs on them because we had some exclusives from one of our retreats. But I pulled out some coral thread. I know it looks very red on camera, but it is coral. And I am just doing a running stitch all the way through across the top of my banners. And you're going to see that because it's a running stitch, it leaves a gap between every other one. And then I'll go back and I'll fill in those gaps by doing another running stitch into the blank spaces. So that's going to help me to finish that off and bring in even more coral. And here's where I have to rethread, and then I have to go back and do the missing links in between to give me a nice solid line of thread. Now I didn't make you sit through all of it just because it's pretty simple. A running stitch is just going in and out of the holes. And then there you can see I've gone in and filled it in. And then I'm going to just glue it all down. While I do that, I want to remind you to go check out MK's channel to see what she's doing with this cut file today. And go and check out what is going on over in the Paper Snob community and over on Tara's channel. And there is a playlist link for those playing along with this coral challenge for Rainbow Crush this month. You can find it all down below in case you want to go and check that out. I still have a little embellishing to go, and I've pulled out some pieces that have some coral on them just to keep building on the coral and pulling in more of that. And I'm liking how it's coming together. I like the little fun in the sun piece. I am going to pull out a wood veneer piece from MK's shop that says uh, pool vibes, I think. I think it says pool vibes. And yeah, poolside vibes. There you go. I am going to remove the masking. I'm going to keep it natural and just go ahead and stick it down as it is. I'm not going to try to color the sun or anything like that. I didn't feel like it needed anything. And I love it when I can add a piece of wood without doing anything to it because it really just gives it a natural look. I also pulled out some kind of tropical looking leaves. These are, I think they're done with like a single line. The whole thing is drawn out of a single line. And so I thought I'd pull those out because it does have the tropical feel to it, even though they're not in the tropics, but it feels like it since it's with the pool. And yeah, I'm pulling in a couple of those just to kind of finish it off. I did like that little tab thing at that is sitting on the banner right now, but it's not going to stay on the banner. It's going to go up top. And I'm just kind of figuring out the placement. I did need a place to write a few notes. And so that's going to end up being right up top where there's a label there. And I'm adding a little bit of foam tape behind my pieces that are overlapping the wood veneer to give them a little extra support. And then I'm just going to remove the backer off of the wood veneer, which reveals the adhesive that's ultra strong and comes on the wood veneer. So if you're not familiar with MK's wood veneer and you're new around here, it comes with a masking on the top so that you can, you know, it protects the wood when it's going being cut with the laser, and you can peel it off in certain areas and then paint it if you want. You can leave it natural, however you want to do that, but it does have a masking on top, and then it does have adhesive on the back, and they are a 1/16 of an inch thick, so they're not really thick. They do add a little bit of thickness to your album, but not a ton. So I love them and highly recommend them. I will put links to these pieces that are available down below. And you can find them in her shop along with the stitching set, the needle, the travel set, and the splat tool, and the paper edger, edge distresser. So I think I'm pretty much done here. I'm just going to move my label around a little bit here just to kind of get it situated a little better, and I'm going to call it done. So that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, hit the thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I really do appreciate it. And if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down below. I do respond to them all. Although sometimes it does take me a little while to get back to you. So thank you for spending time with me today. Don't forget, again, to go check out all the links down below. And there is actually a playlist for the videos that MK and I have released so far for Cutfile Confidence, so you can go and check those out too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.